Reid, thanks for joining me. I wanted to get your perspective. When you heard the news yesterday that Coach Meyer was retiring, what went through your mind? Were you relieved for him? Were you happy for him? Were you sad? What went through your mind when you heard the news?
Yeah, man, thanks for having me on. First of all, it's always good to be on here with you. But it was honestly not a huge surprise, as you kind of saw amongst the wave of emotions that the Buckeye faithful kind of displayed. I had him honestly down, as we talked about before on the show. I had him one more year left, and then he would be out of here. So it was just that time. You could tell, if you know Coach Meyer, you could just see the way he was carrying himself and just handling even the press conferences. He just, like he even said at the end there, he kind of was just, he was losing that edge that he had all of his career. And once you recognize that he couldn't coach the way that he'd always coached, he felt the need to step down, and it wasn't a terrible surprise to me.
Okay, you posted on Twitter, in 1 year you taught me more about myself than I could have ever asked for in 4 years of college. What did he, in that 1 year, give me an example. What did he teach you, or what did you learn from him being under him for 1 year that you have taken with you the rest of your life?
Well, I don't think that's just me that feels that way. What he did that year with that team was pretty remarkable when you really break it down and look at what went on behind closed doors from day one. He came into that first team meeting. I'll never forget it. It was about 5 a.m. We had a couple guys late to the meeting, and, coming off the 6 and 7 season, we're all kind of coming in, looking for our savior, basically, and so this is it. We're going to turn it around. And we had, like I said, some guys came in late, and it was just getting off to this weird, kind of awkward, bad start. And he fed right off of that, and he just kind of laid the law down right away and said, "This is why you guys went 6 and 7. You're an embarrassment, basically, to this program. This is not what Ohio State is about. What I saw last year on that field is not what I grew up watching at Ohio State, and we're going to fix that. Whether or not you want to be here for it, we're going to find the guys that want to play here over the next 2 weeks, and there will be guys that will quit, and there will be guys that will stay. The guys that will stay here are the ones that we want to play with and win with." And sure enough, the next 2 weeks, we had 5 a.m. workouts in January outside, and we did about, I think it was an hour and a half of stations, like, rotating. So we'd have not handlebars, we'd have pull-ups, sit-up station, bear crawl, all the way down the field and back, just miserable stuff. And
right.
He's kind of notorious for doing that, I think, at Utah, Bowling Green, and he pretty much did the same thing. We'd have puke buckets set up, and it was a mess. So sure enough, he got 10 guys to quit. I'm not going to name any names, but one of them ended up being an all-ACC cornerback for Duke, and in my class, I believe. So it just goes to show there was not bad players that were dropping out. It was just that much of a grind that he wanted to find the guys that truly loved Ohio State and loved the guys that were playing next to him.
Yeah, and that kind of set the tone. Another tone setter that 2012 year, and I talked about it with you either on Bucks Line or, I don't know, I can't remember what the shows run together for me, Reid, or a pregame show, but the game at Michigan State where you guys won 17-16, and he still talks about that as he's retiring. This season, there were a couple of times where he referenced that game of where things came together, not only for that team, but he felt like for the program, where you guys did it, gave a toast or something the night before you won 17-16. Take me back to that and how, as he defines it as a program setter, how was that a program set changing moment for you guys?
Yeah, so we kind of were, I forget what week that was exactly. I think it might have been like 5 or 6, but going into that game, we had beaten Miami, Ohio, I think, Central Florida. We were winning games, but we weren't really, I guess, winning handedly or winning the way we could win. And he let us know that. And heading up to Michigan State was the really first true test on the road against a very good team. It was going to be a really good challenge for us. And the night before, he kind of used it as a platform, which it was, and he said, you know what, this is the moment. We're all going to come together, put our foot down, and basically turn this ship around. And this is going to be the moment you'll look back on when you're having grandkids and you can reflect back on this. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now. But we're going to raise a glass, and we're going to make it basically a toast, a commitment to each other, to one another in Ohio State, that this is the moment we decided to play Ohio State football again.
Wow, awesome. I get chills like listening to you talk about it. Visiting with Reid Fragel, former Buckeye offensive lineman, talking a little bit about Coach Meyer stepping away from coaching. Do you think that he's done? I mean, he said that he's done, but just as driven as he is, as I said, Reid, I do believe that he's not going to coach again. I certainly believe that he believes that right now. But he's so competitive and he's so successful, and he's still only 54. He's relatively young. Could you see him get back into coaching, or do you think that he really feels like, especially with the health situation that he's dealing with and his family situation, that he's done?
You know, it's tough because you hear these things about the health issues he's got going on, and I think those are priority number one. I think Shelly is on top of that, without a doubt, and she made that clear, I think, when he came back into coaching, that was going to be priority number one.
Yep.
So I think once that is maybe handled or taken care of, if he comes back, let's say a year from now, and he did what he did at Florida, he comes back and coaches somewhere else, I wouldn't, by no means, I think it was talked about earlier on the show today, I would by no means hold that against him or have any qualms against that. The guy loves football. I could easily see if I was in his shoes after, accomplishing what he just did at Ohio State and taking a year off to kind of gather yourself, spend time with family, and get your health in line and everything. I could see him getting bored and wanting to do something, whether it be TV or administration, something. He would get bored, and I would not be surprised if he did get back into coaching eventually when the time was right.
Okay, Tim May told me I have to ask you about your family Christmas lights or Christmas decorations. He said he recalls that your mom goes all out with crazy Christmas decorations. You're one of those houses. Is Tim's memory correct?
Absolutely. She's probably listening right now laughing about that. But my mom does she's kind of known for it amongst my friends too. She's got the coziest looking house any time of the year where there's a holiday or even Halloween. She's got this nice little village set up, and she goes all out with it, the lights and everything. So it's always a very, very comforting thing to come home to.
So she's one of those, like the neighborhood you drive through where the TVs always pick out the best decorated houses. You're one of those?
I think she actually was in some kind of there was a magazine or something when I lived up in Michigan, and they featured her on it. And it was the coolest thing, I thought. But
wow,
yeah, she gets a kick out of that, and she does a phenomenal job as being a mom. So.
Well, that's phenomenal, awesome. Hey, Reid, thanks for taking a few minutes for us, and you'll have to tweet out pictures of your mom's house or something at some point. I'd love to see it. Yeah, appreciate it very much. Thanks, Reid.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and congratulations, Tim May, on the retirement.